Hello, dear learners. Good to see you here. I am Amritashaan, and I believe life is going good, and you people are making great practice for your IELTS examination. In this video lesson, I am going to discuss with you one another important aspect of IELTS writing, and importantly, this lesson is for the students who are aspiring for academic module of writing. As the pictures on the screen are making it clear, we are going to have discussion for bar chart writing. So let's go for today's lesson. So first important thing is that it is for task 1, as you know, and for academic module it is expected that you should complete the task within 20 minutes. And the word limit given to you is 150, means you have to write minimum 150 words. But I would suggest you that if you keep your word volume between 150 to 180, it is going to be a moderate volume of words, and that will definitely help you. This is the graph we are going to discuss today. As you get the graph, important thing is that you should focus on the question. You should read the question very carefully. I'm going to read the question for you. The chart below shows the type of transports young people in four countries prefer to use. So this is quite interesting information, I believe. This is quite interesting information in the sense they are talking about three different modes of transportation. They are talking about car, motorcycle, and cycle. And they are talking about the young generation who are using it are the people from Great Britain, USA, Germany, and France. So they are talking about the choices of young people of four different countries, what they prefer to use for commuting. The next part of the question says, summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. So you are asked for main trends, you are asked to select the main features, and you are also asked for compare wherever it is possible. You have to keep in mind that you are not going to write the description in detail. And another important thing is that after reading the question carefully, after understanding the question, you should focus on the main trends. And before focusing on the main trend, you just check that in which tense you are going to describe it. Because there is no past year given and there is no assumption for future. So this is the journal trend the graph is describing. The write-up will be in the present tense. And now if we focus on the main trends, we come to know that I will say that it will be easy for you if you focus on the highest level in the graph and the lowest level first of all. So if we look at the graph, we come to know that that is the car is highly preferred by the young generation in France. That is more than 70% people love to use it, and the lowest figure is visible in Germany. Even the people of Great Britain and USA take it as their first preference, and the figure is around 60%. If we talk about motorcycle, it is highly used in USA, but it is a second choice, and in comparison of car, the figure is approximately half. Cycle is a first choice in Germany, and in comparison, uh, the figure for car lovers is comparatively down. So these are the main features that you have focused, and you have also seen in which tense you are going to describe it. You need to keep in mind when you get a graph, you will look at the graph carefully, understand the trends, and you will also focus on the tense. You will understand the use of tense. You have to write, you have to describe the graph in. Now it is time to go for introduction. Introduction is the preface of the graph, and for introduction you have to write the information that is given in the chart. It is important that you should look at the figures. You should see the complete information that is given on different part of the picture. And understanding of question is very important. As you have understood the question and you have seen that it is in percentage, they are talking about four different people of four different countries using three different modes of transportation. Now you can look at the question and see that if you are having some synonyms for the words used in the graph. For example, they are talking about transport, they are talking about young people, and they are talking about the preferences and the use. For transport, you can use the word mode of transportation or commuting. Young people can be replaced with the words the youth of the country, the grown up people. For prefer, you can make use of preference. They like, they love, they show their craze for. So these are the some similar words that you can use, and you can give the complete information that you see in the chart and in the question in the form of introduction. In the simple words, you can say that given chart uh, gives statistical information of the percentage of young generation of four different countries who show their craze for three different modes of transportation, and the statistical figures have been calculated in percentage. This is one way, and the another way I am going to have sample answer for you by and by. And you can write in this way too. The given chart is a statistical presentation of proportion of three different modes of commuting adopted by the youth of four different countries. So instead of using the word prefer, instead of using word transport, I have taken mode of commuting and I have taken the word adopted. You need to read it carefully to understand the things fully, and giving same information in your own language is called paraphrasing. For introduction, you need to go with paraphrasing. It will help you frame introduction in an easy way and in a fast way. The point to remember is use suitable synonyms to write introduction. Use suitable synonyms, similar words with which you can replace the words, and it will help you write introduction. Now we are coming to first feature. For first feature, I would like to advise you to go with the highest figure, and you can compare it with the lowest figure, or you can also go here with some other figure that are similar. There is nothing hard and fast. It is up to you that how you want to describe, how you can make your sentences beautiful. Only thing that you need to keep in mind is that you are not going to give the same range of sentences. You are expected to show different range of sentences and that is possible if you write in a different way. Somewhere you are starting with percentage, somewhere you are starting with the modes of commuting, different modes of transportation, and if you are starting with the name of the country, that would be another third different type of sentence that you would be showing. So here we are going to talk about the highest and the lowest figure first of all. In the simple way, you can say that at a first glance, it becomes clear that more than 70% youngsters in France had craze for cars, whereas this figure was lowest in Germany. Germany, that is around 40. The sample feature written for you is the pattern makes it quite evident significant that the pattern makes it quite evident that a significant section of youth, that is 70% in France, choose car, while this number is 30% low for Germany. I have not used the same figures given here. I have not told that 70% use car in France and 40% use cars in Germany. The figure has written here is in after subtracting it. This is a minus figure. So this is another beautiful trend you have to understand. The point to remember is do not always give the static figure. Plus minus digit can be used for effective writing. Now time for second feature. Yes, we are talking about the use of car, so we can continue with the same. Now you can focus on the use of car, that is in Great Britain and USA. So you can write that one prominent similarity can be seen in Great Britain and USA, where 60% of youngsters love to use cycle as their mode of commuting. Or you can say that 60% young generation of Great Britain and USA show their craze for uh, cars, and that is also their first preference. That is also their first choice. The same information I have written here. Approximately two-third proportion of young generation in Great Britain and USA also take it as their first preference. 60% words, this percentage has been used. The percentage has been used as two-third proportion. That is the substitute we can use instead of writing exact percentage. The thing that you need to keep in mind here is substitute of percentage should be used for good lexical structure. Substitute of percentage should be used for good lexical structure. So instead of saying 70% or 70, more than 70%, you can say that approximately three-quarter generation or young people in France love to ride, love to commute by their cars. So you can work on substitute of percentage for your lexical structure. Coming to the third feature. Now we can talk about motorcycle. And for motorcycle, you can see that it is in USA, where around 30% youth uh, take it for commuting. Information related to motorcycle is that 30% young generation in USA drive motorcycle, and this figure is approximately half than the craze for the cars. Or you can write in this way: noticeably, it is only 30% of American youth who drive motorcycle as a second option. And in other countries, this digit is relatively more near to the ground. You are covering so many features in a small, beautiful sentence, and you need to understand the use of phrases here. Noticeably, it is only 30% of American youth who drive motorcycle as a second option, and in other countries, this digit is relatively more near to the ground. This is another way of making comparison. So the point to remember is make comparison for effective writing. The fourth feature now we are going to discuss. Here you can talk about cycle. We have talked about cars, we have talked about motorcycles, and now we are going to give the description related to cycle. And I believe that is the most interesting uh, information, because cycle is preferred by the youth of Germany, and importantly, it is their first choice. So you can say that you can make it an interesting feature. You can say that the most interesting feature in the graph is related to cycle, which is used by 50% of young Germans and as a first choice. I am having the same description for you with different wordings, and this is the most surprising feature is that inclination for cycle as first choice is visible in Germany. You can say that it is interesting feature or surprising feature because the Germans are showing their craze for it. The most surprising feature is that inclination for cycle as first choice can be witnessed in Germany is another way you can write. So as first choice is visible in Germany, that is by more or less than 50% of the youth. And this figure is precisely half in Great Britain. And this figure is relatively less in Great Britain. Another phrase you can use. The point to keep in mind is unusual information can be written as a surprising feature. Wherever there is some unusual information or interesting information, so you can present it in a different way, and you can make it more effective. You can make it more interesting. Now the time for next feature. Here we can talk about the low figures related to cycle, and you can say that cycle is used hardly by 1 in 10% of American youth. So the people in America are not very much interested in the use of cycle. They are not very much in the habit of using cycle. This is the way you can write. You can say that one another important thing visible on the graph is that young generation in America does not show great grace for cycle because it is last in the list for them. I have written cycle is used hardly by 1 in 10% of American youth. So the use of words like less than, more than, hardly, less than and hardly are the words that you can use when you are describing low figures in the graph. Now it is time for overall analysis where you are going to compile everything by summarizing the main features. So your overall analysis can be: overall analysis reveals that youth shows dominatingly a great preference for car as a mode of traveling in all countries. Overall analysis shows that the youth, yes, it is the youth. Dear learners, when you are writing graph or anything in writing, you have to be very particular about the use of articles, punctuation, sign of punctuation, everything. So I read it for you again. Overall analysis reveals that the youth shows overall analysis reveals that the youth show dominatingly a great preference for car as a mode of traveling in all countries except in Germany, where cycle wins the heart of the youth. Or you can say where cycle is taken as a first choice. So when you are concluding everything, that is called overall analysis, and overall analysis is generally given in the end. If you are writing overview, the passage, the paragraph will go after the introduction. But here we are giving overall analysis. The It is up to you. If you want to go with overview, you can, or you can end up your writing with overall analysis. And for overall analysis or for overall view, you have to give a very clear picture or a clear view of the main trend, features or differences that you have noticed. You are going to conclude with that. Now I am going to read for you the complete sample answer that we have discussed. The given chart is a statistical presentation of proportion of three different modes of commuting adopted by the youth of four different countries. The pattern makes it quite evident that a significant section of youth, that is 70% in France, choose car, while this number is 30% low for Germany. Approximately two-third proportion of young generation in Great Britain and USA also take it as a first preference. Noticeably, it is only 30% of American youth who drive motorcycle as a second choice, and in other countries, this digit is relatively more near to the ground. The most surprising feature is that inclination for cycle as a first choice is visible for Germany, that is, by more or less than 50% of youth. And this figure is precisely half in Great Britain. Cycle is hardly used by 1 in 10% of American youth. Overall analysis reveals that the youth show dominatingly a great preference for car as a mode of traveling in all the countries except in Germany, where cycle wins the heart of the youth, or where cycle is used as a first preference. So the thing that you have to keep in mind is that you have to summarize with the main trends and the features, and importantly, you have to take care of the word limit. The word limit for this graph that we have written is 175 approximately. So dear learners, I believe the discussion will help you and you will understand the trends and the features that we have discussed. This is done for today. I will see you in some other video with some new lesson. Make practice and take care.